Good morning. It's so nice to see you. It's Wednesday, and Wednesday means it is JTEX Day. And tonight at 7 o'clock, you be around your phone and you'll be receiving a text with a question of Jewish content. And if you're the seventh person to answer, you will win a bottle of wine. So 7 o'clock p.m. today, if you haven't signed up yet, jewishcenter.info/JTEX. Everything is there. Sunday and Wednesday, 7 p.m. is the time when we have this great project and the great program. Also, I'd like to remind you that tomorrow we'll be here in the morning on Thursday. But in addition, the evening at 5:30 we have a pre-holiday sermon. jewishcenter.info/sermon. Tomorrow, Thursday at 5:30. There will not be any programming on Friday because it's the holiday, it's Yom Tov, it's Shavuot, and you'll hear plenty about that tomorrow evening at 5:30. So, it's good to see everybody, good to be with everybody. Today we have a beautiful story. It's a story that I heard recently during Memorial Day, Sunday, Monday, over the weekend, which I thought was very moving, and it's really appropriate for the themes and the teachings that we are sharing over the last few days, which is a time for me to remind you that if you missed a class or you want to go back to a class or share a link to a class, they're all on our website, jewishcenter.info/recordings. There you'll find all the things that we reference in our class today and more. So please take up the opportunity to take advantage of our website and the things that we offer. So the story, a very interesting story, a very moving story, a very inspiring story, and a very relevant story for us today. So, as I mentioned, I heard this on Memorial Day. It was regarding a soldier. So one night, a nurse is sitting at the nurse station in the hospital, and she sees this young uniformed Marine walking into the hospital. Getting closer to the nurse's station, she right away gets up, does her salute, and says, "Come with me quickly." And she takes him into a room where there's an old dying man, a man who suffered a very severe heart attack and is barely conscious. And immediately she takes him into the room and goes to the bedside of this elderly gentleman and tells him, "Your son is here, your son is here." And she can't get any response from the older man. And again, with a little more force in her voice, she says, "Sir, your son has arrived, your son is here." And the gentleman who's sick, laying in bed, barely opens his eyes, barely able to see anything, but you see he is alert. He sees his son, he sees the Marine, he grabs his hand and holds it tight. And the Marine, in turn, holds this gentleman's hand very tightly, saying words of love and encouragement. And the nurse offered the Marine a chair to sit down. And in fact, he sits down in this poorly lit room, hearing the oxygen tank chucking away, but he's focused on this elderly gentleman. The elderly gentleman is squeezing him tightly. And throughout the night, the Marine officer is offering his dad, this elderly man, words of love and words of encouragement. In fact, the nurse suggested to the Marine, "Why don't you take a rest for a while?" Nothing doing. He refused. He just sat there at the bedside, holding this man's hand, tighter and tighter. He was so oblivious to anything that was going on around him. Nurses came in, nurses came out, and you've ever been in the hospital during the night, it's a little quieter, so you hear a lot of noise and the chatting and the laughing and the changing of the shifts. And this Marine is totally oblivious. He's holding the man's hand, saying deep words of love and encouragement, when all of a sudden he realizes that this man has passed away. The man died. He immediately goes and tells the nurse, and she goes into the room and does what she has to. And then she comes out to the Marine to offer words of sympathy. And he stops her right there. And he turns to the nurse and asks, "Who was this man? Who is he?" The nurse looks at him. "He's your father. Why are you asking that?" He said, no, he wasn't. I've never seen this man in my life. So she turns to him and says, so why didn't you say anything when I took you to him? Why did you just sit there and do what you did? And she said, because I knew right away, the Marine says, that this was a mistake. But I also knew that this man needed his son, and his son wasn't there. So when I realized that it was too sick to tell whether I was his son or not, I played the place of his son, because that's what he needed at that time. That itself is a powerful story. But wait till you hear what the end of the story is. So the nurse turns to him and says, so why did you come to the hospital if not to visit him, if he's not your father? He says, actually, I came to this hospital to look for a Mr. William Gray. Mr. William Gray's, is he here? And the nurse says, that was Mr. William Gray. To which the Marine turns to her and says, well, I came here to tell him that his son was killed in battle the day before in Iraq. And as the nurse hears this, she begins to weep, because this Marine came to tell this person about the death of his son, when in fact he ended up being the presence of this person's son during his last moments. You see, there's so many things that happen in our life, and we think we know the plan, and things may happen by mistake. This nurse mistakenly thought that this Marine was his son and brought him in, and you know the rest of the story. But was it a mistake? This man who needed his son the last few minutes of his life, when his son just passed away, was killed the night before. This wasn't a mistake. This person, this Marine came. He thought he came to tell this man that his son passed away. But there was a different reason he was there. He was there to be there in the place of his son for this dying individual. And this is a story we must always realize, as we discussed in last night's class, in yesterday's big idea of Judaism. Everything has a reason. Everything has a purpose. We don't always see how things play out, but there are no mistakes in life. Where we are is the right place for us to be. And sometimes you meet someone who you think, I don't have time for them, or this was a mistake, I wasn't meant to be here, I'll talk to you later. There are no mistakes. If by chance you happen to be somewhere, someone needs you, spend a few moments for them. But also for yourself. If you find yourself in a situation where you think, why am I dealing with this? Why is this coming to me? Take a deep breath. There's a reason. There are no mistakes in God's world. There's a purpose and a reason for everything. And the more we can live with a focus on trying to live the purpose and the reason of why we are in a certain situation, as opposed to living that this is a mistake, the more productive we will be and the more effective we will be. And of course, make no mistake, we are not present today on May 27, 2020, stuck in the middle, at the end, wherever we are, of this worldwide pandemic. There's a purpose. There's a reason. Let's focus on purpose. Let's focus on reason, because there ain't no mistakes. And the reason we're here is there's something that we need to do. We're going to explore this idea a little bit more tomorrow, Thursday, when we explore Judaism's big idea, in continuation of our class yesterday, which you can find on the recordings. And we will explore this even more at depth during the sermon tomorrow at 5:30. But from now till then, the message is simple. Nothing is by mistake. Live the purpose and the meaning for which you were brought into this world. Live the purpose and the meaning why you were brought into a certain situation. There is a purpose, there is a meaning. Capture that, and you can move on to the next with joy, with a sense of fulfillment, and with determination. Have a wonderful, meaningful day, and use every opportunity that comes by you this day. And don't look at it as, oy vey, why me, what a mistake. But wow, what a great opportunity there can be to hold someone's hand, to lift someone's spirit, to do something productive, and to make a real difference. Have a wonderful day.